and he's in trouble. He's going to run. He's going to get the first down.
Don't sleep on those legs. Oh, he faked the slide. Sauce time. The Pitt Panthers have pulled a stunning upset over the West Virginia Mountaineers.
And Johnny Majors gets a ride across the field.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Simple Fi. I am your host, Zach Kaminsky. I'm joined in person by my co-host, Mason, and remotely by our co-host, Kent. Let's start with Mason. How you doing tonight?
Doing well. Got a W this weekend, so no complaints.
I have complaints.
Okay, yeah, I guess I should. There are some things to address.
It
but
could
we
be
won.
worse.
But we won.
It could be
so,
worse.
yeah, I'm doing all right.
Kent, phoning it in. How you doing?
Pretty good. My only request last week was Pitt just win the game. They won by 21 points. So
We didn't get the 50 burger.
Didn't
but
cover either. Terrible.
Yeah.
Fold the program, really.
We tried for a backdoor cover with some of those shenanigans late in the game, but we'll get into that.
Get into that.
no matter what we do, I think we're just destined to be ranked number 24. So
Yeah. AP just loves us. AP loves us at 24.
They can't get enough. They see like that number, and they're like, that's perfect.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
I thought for sure we were going to move up, given what kind of happened in the scheme of things. But
Do we want to start with the AP then?
I guess we can. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go from top to bottom. So starting at the top, there hasn't been a lot of the top five. There's no shuffling at the top. The top five is pretty much cemented in stone until someone loses when they play each other. So 1, Georgia; 2, Alabama; 3, Ohio State; 4, Michigan; 5, Clemson. Dropping down is Oklahoma, so you have number 6, USC. We'll get to that game later. Number 7, Kentucky. Number 8, Tennessee.
Let's go Vols.
Let's go Vols, apparently. Number 9, Oklahoma State was off this week. Number 10, North Carolina State. That makes North Carolina State versus Clemson a top 10 matchup at the Textile Bowl.
Look at the ACC, baby.
5 teams in the top 25. Number 11, Penn State. Not really sure why they're that high. They beat a very bad Auburn team and fucked around with Central Michigan for a while. I thought that was going to happen. Number 12, Utah. Sort of climbed back up. Number 13, Oregon. Number 14, Ole Miss. Number 15, Washington. Look at them go from unranked to 15. Number 16, Baylor. Number 17, Texas A&M. Oklahoma dropped down to 18 after their loss to Kansas State. At 19, BYU is chilling. Arkansas dropped down from 10 to 20 after their last-second loss to A&M. Minnesota enters the top 25 at number 21 after their 4-0 start and a dismantling of Michigan State. Sell your NF Tucks now. Their value is getting lost. Wake Forest drops 1 spot after their overtime loss to Clemson. Florida State enters the top 25 for starting 4-0 at number 23. Pittsburgh still at number 24 at 3-1. At number 25, Kansas State at their upset win over Oklahoma. And at number 26 is Kansas. Rank them now.
They get one more win, and they might be in there.
Dude, I think they're going to get it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's go into the Pitt game. Sort of a quick recap. The scoring starts early with the MJ Devonshire 82-yard punt return. I actually didn't have the game on yet, but
Me either, dude. I missed that play. I saw him basically going into the end zone, and that's about it.
yeah, but seeing the highlight from that was really cool.
Yeah.
no, I was watching that live. You guys missed out.
I was too hungover. I missed the first 5 minutes of the game.
I missed the first 5 because I had to get my
He
mom
backed
visiting me
over
this
pretty
weekend.
far, and I was like, damn, okay. And then as soon as he started going up, I was like, damn, they're blocking this pretty well, and it seemed like really nobody on that team was really making that hard of an effort to try and tackle him. So once that happened, I was like, okay, we might actually just completely rout this team, and that's not exactly what happened. But.
Yeah, no. When I first tuned in and saw that we were already up 7-0, I was like, let's go. This is going to be similar to last year when we were won like 77, but like 77-0 or whatever it was. But it turned out to be way closer than that, even though we were pretty dominant the whole time.
Yeah, even though we won by 21.
It was.
following that punt return touchdown, there isn't much, and then Pitt goes on a 2-play touchdown drive. That was Izzy's long touchdown. Now, this one, I did get the game on at this point. I knew that he was gone as soon as I saw them block it up.
Yeah.
Like, the blocking on this play was perfect, and Izzy just hit the hole. It's sort of like the Tennessee play, except there wasn't even some guy to, like, make him have to juke him.
It was even more wide open.
Yeah.
And he broke a couple of them like that today. But
all the touchdown runs were beautifully blocked.
Yeah.
However, Rhode Island responds with a touchdown of their own. They responded with a long touchdown run where they just blocked it up really well. I think there had to be some error on the backside because no one was there.
It looked like, we had 2 people in one gap, somebody missed an assignment, and then that was just enough to break it.
And I think they were doing, like this game, and we'll get into it more with the offense, but this seemed like a game of live install for both sides of the ball. Like, the amount of screens that they threw and, like, the different defensive things they were doing, which caused a couple busts, I think, like, actually did affect the outcome of the game. Because, like, there's no way we're throwing, like, 15 screens a game. Because, obviously, the offense hasn't looked like that. I think they're just, like, running it on. Like, they're just like, let's get some reps in with this stuff.
Yeah. They're doing an inside run and passes under 10-yard, like, mini game in Madden when they're...
Yeah. Okay. Moving to the next drive, that is a long touchdown, 7-minute drive for Pitt, capped off with the Izzy Abanikanda 12-yard touchdown run, the second of the day. Pitt's next drive ends up in a field goal for Ben Sauls, 31-yard. That's good. Rhode Island scores at the end of the half. That's where they had that long pass, and there were a lot of penalties on Pitt to keep them alive in that drive. They go into the half, 24-14. I was pretty annoyed, but I think the second half sort of quelled all my worries about the team because Pitt goes on a 75-yard drive for 5 minutes with Izzy's third touchdown, 25-yard strike that really just another beautifully blocked touchdown run after a Rhode Island field goal. Pitt goes on another long drive, 13 plays in 6.5 minutes. After another Izzy touchdown, that brings it to 4 on the game. I think Pitt's first 4 touchdown game score since I think they said it was Darren Hall, I want to say, or someone in 2018.
Yeah,
or something
I feel like there were a couple freak games in that year, but that's crazy that it's been that long.
Yeah. After a late Rhode Island touchdown with about a minute or so left in the game, they go for an onside kick. So I had turned the game off at this point, so I didn't see the onside, but I was very confused as to why the onside resulted in Pitt being at the 18-yard line. But then Vincent Davis runs it in for the 5th rushing score of the day. And then, so the end of the game, the onside kick. So Ben Sauls gets hurt on that last point after attempt. Sam Scarton can't do kickoffs. That has been his thing since he's been on campus. So the backup walk-on kicker, Caleb Junko, just phones in an onside. He does the Pat McAfee.
There were like a couple clips after of like Narduzzi getting after him, a couple of special teams coach yelling at him, but like I don't know. Do you think he honestly just did that himself?
All the players were hyping him up, like, and Narduzzi said afterwards that it was a call from the sideline. And I think that Narduzzi would be spiteful enough to onside it after you heard his kicker.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It did seem in the moment that like he just sort of was like, it's Caleb Junko time. Call his own number.
Walk-on season. Kent, did you get to see that play?
The onside kick in the aftermath? Yeah, I watched the replay of it, but I had turned the game off at that point. But,
So that does it for the play-by-play recap. Do you guys just have any general thoughts about the game itself? Sort of what went down, how it went down, all that stuff?
I wish we would have pulled away a little bit earlier. The fact that we had Slovis in until pretty much the end of the game. Slovis
was in until the end of the game, which was extremely surprising to me.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, he was playing a little bit of game manager. I don't think he threw the ball more than 10 yards down the field more than once or twice. So
because they were running the screen. They were literally installing screen plays, and then on like the last drive of the game, he's like actually throwing the ball, which made no sense to me. But
yeah,
I was very surprised to see that. I thought we were going to see at least either Patty or Yarnell at some point, but
Yarnell like had his helmet on the sideline for a little bit, but then he took it right back off. So I don't know. You get a couple more scores, a couple more stops on defense. Maybe we can do that. But I just would have liked to see him come out a little bit earlier, given what's happened already this year.
Do you think that they let him stay in the whole time because he didn't have any playing time against Western Michigan, so he needed like a warm-up game before ACC play? Do you think that? I think that's the only explanation that I have for it.
Yeah, I guess so. But like they also didn't really like it was. I don't know if I'd call it a warm-up game when he didn't really throw the ball or get any reads.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
What about you, Ken?
I'll be honest. Like, I just wanted them to pull this out. I mean, they still won by 21, and I knew that the AP poll wasn't really going to do anything. I think this game is going to be forgotten about within 2 weeks. We're not going to be thinking about this game. They avoided the devastating, horrible loss this year, which is all I was really looking for. So glad we made it through Western Michigan and Rhode Island with 2 21-point victories. It wasn't like right down to the wire. So I was happy with that. That's my overall thought about the game. It wasn't always the prettiest. I think the offense needs to be a little bit more creative moving forward, and I would like to see a little bit, better maybe just management of the offense and just like play calling in general. But overall, I'm just excited to move into some ACC play.
Yeah, I mean, and let's not be all negative here. Let's give one guy his flowers. That is Izzy Abanikanda. I mean, he just had a monster day on Saturday. 19 carries for 177 yards and 4 touchdowns, a long of 67. I mean, let me pull up the calculator real quick, but that's a really good yards per play average. Yeah, he was running at 9.
Izzy went off. I think he's still the ACC leading rusher after this week, I'm sure.
I think he moved into sole possession of it after this week. I have something about it. But yeah, he was running at 9 yards per run yesterday, with also a 19-yard catch in there. So, I mean, I'd like to have Rodney Hammond back, but Izzy is a true workhorse back at this point.
Yeah.
For sure. I would love to have Hammond back too, though, just to have like somebody else to give him a breather, because I think him and Hammond are both studs, and then I think Vincent Davis should not be the other the second back, in my opinion.
Hey man, 7 carries for 51 yards isn't terrible.
No, I know he's fine. He's fine. I just I prefer Hammond and Izzy's just style of running more. But at the same time, I think Vincent Davis is definitely doing decently well with what he's been given in terms of carries. So
I think they just know how to use him now, just as like a third down guy. Like,
yeah,
get him in space, not halfback dives and end zone stuff.
Yeah, nothing like really between the tackles, more just bounce it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, so circling back to Izzy, he leads the ACC in rushing yards with 479. All-purpose yardage, he leads it with 721. And then he has 7 touchdowns, which is the leading rushing touchdown number in the ACC.
That's sick.
That is sick. It'll probably be a 2-man race fight between him and the Florida State back.
Is it time to talk about putting Izzy on Heisman watch?
No,
he's not putting numbers up like that.
Dude, he's on Doak Walker watch for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, you want to go around the ACC?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start on Thursday. For West Virginia 33, Virginia Tech 10 in Blacksburg. This was close in the first half, and then Virginia Tech's offense stunk like it has all year, and West Virginia is now 2-2. Virginia Tech, very, very bad. I think we've learned enough to say that they are pretty much incompetent on offense. And yeah, I guess Neil Brown's not getting fired this year, but
too much of a buyout.
Playing around with Virginia Tech like that is dirty, dirty stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Friday. Syracuse 22, Virginia 20. This was a game. Syracuse went up early. Virginia comes back, and then at the last second, Garrett Schrader leaves them down the field, and they score a go-ahead field goal to win the game. I think what we've learned about Syracuse the last 2 weeks is that Sean Tucker is not very effective to get behind this O-line, and more or less to win, they have to sort of hope they get a good Garrett Schrader game.
Yeah. Props to Virginia for battling. I thought this was going to be Syracuse running away with it, but they stood their ground and came back and made a game out of it. Came down to the last play, kind of, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Brendan Armstrong with a stat line 19 for 38, 138, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He is not looking good this year. That's nasty. And then Sean Tucker, 21 carries for 60 yards. They can't run the ball, but Syracuse just has some sort of like voodoo magic around them. I'm gonna say at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they win, baby.
They just win. All right, let's get into the big game of the week. Clemson 51, Wake Forest 45 in double overtime. We were this close to greatness, man. I was watching this game. I mean, I think the takeaway here is that Wake Forest learned how to block Clemson, which should be terrifying for Clemson because they shut them down last year. But the Clemson offense, they aren't actually good. They just played Wake Forest. They had their 2 starting corners out. They had trouble moving. Didn't have trouble moving the ball because they just have more talent on the outside than Wake Forest does on defense. My thing is, I didn't like Wake Forest play calling at the end of regulation. They were just running the ball for a field goal when they probably should have been throwing because it was working all day. Gotta have that one, Wake. Gotta have that one.
Yeah, they were definitely in position to win that game. Kind of exactly what I expected with this. We're just going to come down to like who has the ball last, who's going to make that one mistake, and it ended up being Wake. So
yeah, I don't know. I think I had a pretty good read on the game because Wake Forest definitely could have won. It was just a matter of the second half was just all offense.
Yeah.
Anything on the Wake game, Kent?
No. I watched a decent portion of this game before accidentally falling asleep in the second half. No, I mean my prediction was not quite true, but Clemson did pull out the dub. So I don't know. The other side of the ACC is definitely going to be interesting coming up this week. We got another big matchup coming up with Clemson and NC State. So
yeah.
Yeah, the Atlantic Division definitely is shaping up to be a pretty good fight. We'll just touch on this one, give you the score. NC State 41, UConn 10.
UConn.
Who cares? It's UConn. Okay, we got to talk about this one. Maybe the funniest result of the day. Middle Tennessee State University 45. Number 25 Miami 31 at home.
Yeah.
It
was actually depressing seeing how empty Hard Rock is, though. You forget that, like, I guess...
Because we bitch about Hines all the time?
Yeah, but, like, there was nobody there at this game, and Middle Tennessee was the better team, like, all day. Like, this wasn't a fluke thing. Like, they were giving Miami the work.
Yeah, I mean, let's run through this. Middle Tennessee had scoring passes of 71 yards, 69 yards, and 98 yards. They were just throwing bombs all day. Their quarterback had 16 completions for 408 yards.
That's a wild stat.
That is just nasty. I mean, they had one receiver who had 2 catches for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, their defense got absolutely worked by Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like, and then, like, to go on the play-by-play, like, Tyler Van Dyke was pretty terrible. He got benched. I mean, their first play from scrimmage, he throws a pick, which results in a Miami field goal. Their second drive is a pick 6 of Tyler Van Dyke. And then their third drive was a fumble by the running back. So, and, like, they're only up 10-0 because then Middle Tennessee's quarterback throws a pick on the next play. So Miami, for what it's worth, should be down 13 or 17 at this point, maybe even 21. However, it's 10-3, and then it just goes all downhill from there. Long Middle Tennessee State touchdown, and then Miami gets stopped on the goal line for the first time that day. Middle Tennessee responds with a quick touchdown drive. Miami then fumbles it, punt, touchdown for Miami. So it's 24-10. Halftime 24-10, which is never a good look if you're Miami.
Yeah.
Going down to Middle Tennessee State. In the second half, I think at some point Tyler Van Dyke gets benched. So in the second half, Tyler Van Dyke gets benched. They bring in Jake Garcia. Now it's 31-17 after a couple of touchdowns. Then, in the end of the third, at the very end of the third quarter, or at the beginning of the fourth, they get their second goal line stop. So Miami's now been stopped on the goal line twice in one game by Middle Tennessee State, and then from there it's just they just get outscored. They get boat raced with Middle Tennessee. Jesus Christ! I saw someone else say this, but this is what happens when a coach known for his terrible in-game management gets sent to the softest program in America. I mean, Jesus Christ. They got boat raced by JMU, and then they lost it. This is a sorry Miami program. They're going to be like, are we gonna like? I know they were picked to win the Coastal because it's brand favoritism, but like, if the Coastal wasn't so bad, I don't even know if they'd finish top 2.
They probably. I still don't think they still might not.
I mean, dude, the Coastal went 1-6 this weekend. We were the only win.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they looked really bad.
Now,
crazy that they were. I don't know. They proved nothing. Everybody was super high on them. They're gonna bounce out of the AP poll. Probably won't make it back in for a while now.
Well, they are.
Yeah.
Are we seeing a Justin Herbert thing of Tyler Van Dyke?
What do you mean?
Because Cristobal was the head coach for Justin Herbert when he was at Oregon. He looked very...
Oh, Tyler Van Dyke's going to go to the league and just be a stud?
I don't know if he's going to be a stud. I don't think he's that great. But, like, do we think that that's a factor in why he's just not good at all?
Could be. I mean, history repeats itself.
Also, Josh Gaddis, man, that's... Maybe not. Should be as high as him. On him as I don't know. I was. Any thoughts on Miami losing, just pooping their pants? Go.
Terrific. That's pretty much all I got. I didn't actually get this. I didn't get to see a minute of this game.
No,
I
neither
pretty much
did
just
I.
saw the score. I really didn't. Yeah, didn't get to watch this. But I mean, I think it's my thoughts. The only thing that it gives me is like our side of the ACC. It's pretty much like if we're not able to win the Coastal this year, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is very good at all.
Yeah. Was like really dreading the Miami game, the last game of the year, and like, not that I'm not going to be worried about it now, but it's like, holy shit, if it really comes down to that at the end of the year, there's a problem, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, the rest of our side is just so bad.
It's so bad.
Well, let's get into it. Duke 27, Kansas 35. How about them Hawks, man? I was watching the highlights of this game. The way that Kansas draws up their run game is beautiful. They're running like triple option plays with a capable quarterback. This is a fun team, and I would assume if they win next week, they'll be ranked because someone else will probably drop out.
Yeah.
Duke, you might have a quarterback there. That's actually surprising.
Yeah, I mean they didn't win, but
they were competitive at least. It was it was a one score game. I think Kansas was firmly in control the entire time, but I mean to say Duke Kansas 35-27 and say it was actually a good game is not something I think I'd ever say actually.
Yeah. Next, and then after that we had Louisville against South Florida. Bit of a shit pumping here.
South Florida is bad. I think that's really all.
Finally saw a little bit of offense from Louisville. Wasn't against a good team.
No,
but
not at all.
finally put up some numbers like we thought they were going to.
Speaking about putting up numbers, Notre Dame 45, North Carolina 32. Do you think Notre Dame is going to score 45 on anyone else this year?
No.
With that offense?
No.
Gene Chizik is... okay, let's go. BYU, Stanford, UNLV, Syracuse, Clemson, Navy, BC, and USC. Maybe UNLV and Boston College, but this is quite honestly embarrassing. And this year's Notre Dame team, if you score 32 on them, you should probably win. Because that offense is awful, and yet North Carolina found a way to bungle this with a 24-point second quarter. Gene Chizik, retire. Just retire.
Yeah.
Now, let's get to the last member of the Coastal. Georgia Tech 10, UCF 27. Jeff Collins has been compromised to a permanent end. He was fired probably about an hour before we started recording the show. This is a very bad team. I'm just a little mad because we knew that Collins and Arduzzi didn't like each other. So if he would have been fired after the Pitt game, I would have just found personal enjoyment in it.
It would have been a nice little fairy tale.
Oh my
ending.
gosh, it would have been awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I wish we could have been the ones that ultimately gave him the axe, but
yeah. In a way, we'll take partial credit because they knew what was coming this week, so they just wanted to cut ties early.
I actually think that might have been a factor
Yeah.
to try and get them up for this game, but they've got nobody on offense, and that defense is bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Collins gone now, a year ago today, Narduzzi and Mac Brown are the only two coaches left in the Coastal from a year ago today.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, is Mac Brown next? You have to think that
We'll see how the next couple
he
of
might
weeks
just
go for
retire if they just start stinking again.
a mutual parting of ways, maybe.
He's such a good recruiter that they might keep him around for a year, but his defensive hires have not been great.
Yeah.
Let's cap off the league play of the night game on AC Network. It's Florida State 44, Boston College 14. Jordan Travis came back, and he was Jordan Travis. Florida State, keep an eye on that. I think we're gonna get almost a 4-team race for the Atlantic Division. Questionable now with Wake's loss to Clemson, but Wake, Clemson, NC State, and Florida State are all live on that side of the division.
Yeah, this is turning into the Big Ten, and we're Wisconsin in the West.
Hey, we're Minnesota this
Yeah,
year.
yeah. Wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Well, we're not fully Wisconsin because we're not a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
Let's say. But yeah, this is it definitely will be interesting that the last year of divisions it was pretty much a Big Ten situation. Next year might be a little interesting with the top two teams going. All right, let's move to the rest of college football. We'll start on Saturday. How about Kent State scoring the most points on Georgia out of anyone this year?
Yeah, this made me feel a little bit better about our game, too, to see, number one, Georgia's having trouble with, some subpar opponents, too. We're okay.
Brock Bowers, though, had a 75-yard touchdown run. He is the guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
I had that same thought, Mason. I was like, all right, I feel kind of good that Georgia is struggling with Kent State.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but also I'm happy for my guys, Kent State, my case race coach. So
You got to think they might be alive in the MAC this year with that result. They got to feel good about themselves going into conference play. That coach might end up getting looks for jobs this year because he's doing a lot with little at Kent State.
yeah, dude, as a Golden Flash, you got to feel great. That's probably the best feeling after a 17-point loss in your life.
yeah, do you think they partied like they won?
I mean,
dude, honestly,
They
that's
should
like-
have. They should.
That's the cover of a
50,
lifetime.
Yeah.
What was the spread in that game? 45?
It was something crazy like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
At least
dude, they
4 scores.
covered with room to spare. So
Yeah. All right. Skipping over Alabama because they pasted Vanderbilt. Ohio State 52, Wisconsin 21. I'm officially putting Paul Christ on Pack Watch. That is, I mean, Wisconsin got a 3-and-out, and the game was automatically over. Ohio State goes up 21 in the first quarter, and it was all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Maryland 27, Michigan 34.
This was closer than I
A
thought.
lot closer than I thought. Blake Corum was just on one today. But yeah, Maryland, I think, was leading for a little bit in this game. Michigan ends up pulling it out. But yeah, I mean, very impressive for Maryland. They might be better than I thought. Michigan's still very good. J.J. McCarthy is not there yet, but that running game is still absolutely just world-beating. We covered Clemson, Wake Forest. Let's move to the first upset. Kansas State 41, Oklahoma 34 at home. Isn't it nice to see Adrian Martinez be free of Nebraska and all of a sudden just immediately start winning?
He had a good game.
Yeah.
He looked pretty solid.
I mean, running attack with him and Deuce Vaughn is going to get you wins.
Deuce Vaughn is so fun to watch because he's like he's maybe like 5'6".
Yeah.
But he runs like he's 6'2".
Yeah.
Like he's super quick, super elusive, but also lower shoulder. And he did it quite a few times where he's one of those backs, he's always falling forward. He's just really fun to watch. I think he'll be one, Sundays to keep an eye on.
And listen, this was not the fault of the Oklahoma offense. Dylan Gabriel had 330 yards and 4 touchdowns. It was the defense. Adrian Martinez threw for 234 yards, and Martinez and Vaughn combined for nearly more than 250 yards on the ground. I hate to say it, but this is like looking at Lincoln Riley and going, this is your fault. This is your fault for having bad defensive players. So, yeah, I think I had this one sniffed out. I thought it was possible, and I should have been more confident in it.
Seems to be the Kansas State is always giving Oklahoma trouble.
All right, Kleiman is now 3-1 against Oklahoma in his career at Kansas State. Hey.
Winners win. I don't know. When sometimes you just don't match up good against like other coaches and their schemes and stuff, he's got it figured out.
He really does, man.
I mean, it was Lincoln Riley before, but it's the same type of thing.
Maybe it's just like a vibe thing where it's like we couldn't beat UNC for the longest time. Now it's K-State and Oklahoma. Okay. USC 17, Oregon State 14. They almost did it, man.
I know.
They almost did it. They gave up a late touchdown, but you know what I think we learned about this game? If you drop 8 into coverage, Caleb Williams is not going to beat you. That's all they did, and it limited them to 17 points. I think the book is out for better defensive teams like Washington, Oregon, Utah, that USC can be beaten if you just drop 8.
Yeah, and this was projected to be like one of the highest scoring games.
Oh,
of
the over-under was
weekend,
at 70.
and it ended up being like one of the lowest.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny, and it took them. It was 7-3 at halftime, I think.
Yeah.
And then for the majority of the third quarter too, like it was. They have the blueprint for both defenses now.
I mean, yeah, Caleb Williams being 16 of 36 for 180 yards. I mean, Oregon State lost this game because Chance Nolan threw 4 picks.
Yes, that's literally if you don't turn the ball over 4 times, I think that Oregon State wins this game. Like even like they could have got away with 3, but that
I think he had a pick on the drive before they actually marched down the field and won the game, but
it would have been funny.
It would have been funny, man.
Jordan Addison was basically MIA in that game too until he scored that last touchdown.
It is doubly troubling that they almost did it, and then Jordan Addison saved it. That sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Arkansas 21, Texas A&M 23. Arkansas lost this game on a doink off the top of the field goal post.
Yep.
That is brutal. Also, did you see their defensive touchdown? Where they got a fumble, and then someone, like a D tackle, had it, and then someone just grabbed it from him and ran the rest of the way.
Yeah, and that was a huge swing because it would have put Arkansas up 21-7 at that point.
Yeah.
Instead, it ended up being
14-13. They missed the point.
They missed the
after.
extra point, but like what a huge swing! Gotta give credit to Texas A&M.
Yeah.
That play was electric.
I mean, between Clemson, USC, and A&M, we were so close to just like being able to smoke all those packs for all those coaches.
Yeah.
But yeah. Tennessee 38, Florida 33. Florida almost had this one, and then they didn't. It was a good game. It was not as close until late when they started storming back. But, hey, Tennessee's 4-0. It looks better for us, even if the AP poll doesn't respect it.
Eventually they're going to have to.
Yeah. Oregon 44, Washington State 41. Washington State nearly had this one too, and then I think Cam Ward threw a pick six, and it was over, if I remember correctly. Because I was watching this game, and then Oregon, I saw the Bo Nix 99-yard pick six where he got penalized on the same play. You got to think that's like the first time that's ever happened. But yeah, Wazoo throws a pick six with a minute left. They go down 10, then they score a touchdown with 1 second left to bring it within 3. But they almost did it. Props to Oregon for their defense showing up at the last second. This was the full Bo Nix experience in one game. That's my other thought on this game. Moving down, number 18, Washington 40, Stanford 22. Washington good?
They might be. Yeah. They might be. They kind of came out of nowhere. It didn't really have them on my radar at all. And I mean, it was Stanford, but they kind of handled this game.
As a good team should.
Yeah, they were, never really out of question. Just kind of did their thing, and they look solid.
And probably the other funniest result of the day. Number 22, Texas 34, Texas Tech 37.
Horns down.
The most legendary horns down. Someone rushes the field, turns around, horns downs the mascot and a bunch of cheerleaders, turns around and starts rushing the field.
Yeah. You can't call a penalty when the game's over, so throw those horns down. But yeah, I was rooting for Texas Tech here just for like ranking purposes. Thought we might, since Texas was right in front of us, we might be able to jump them, but of course not. So, but shout out to Texas Tech still for taking down the Longhorns.
Mm-hmm. Like we said before, Minnesota 34, Michigan State 7. NF Tucks are worth nothing. The market has crashed. Minnesota is, I would say, probably the favorite in the West now. They can actually run the ball with Mo Ibrahim, and they can throw the ball with Tanner Morgan a little bit. So keep your eye on Minnesota. The Golden Gophers might be this year's sacrificial lamb. And then we also had a 28-3. James Madison 32, App State 28. App State led 28-3. They did all their scoring in the second quarter, and then they lost.
Yeah, funny that it was a 28-3.
Another team that starts with A.
Yeah, yeah. But you never App State's going to give you crazy games no matter what. We said it
this is just what they do now.
Yeah.
They've won 2, they lost 2. It's just what they do.
Yeah. If you just want to see crazy football where you have no idea what's going to happen next, throw on App State.
Get ESPN Plus, throw on App State.
That's what it is. ESPN is rigging these games just to make them as crazy as possible to get their subscription numbers up.
You have to think that big ESPN has a hand in this. I just want to give a note. Iowa Rutgers hit the over.
Yeah.
On a field goal that doinked in on 2 pick sixes. Evil game. Because that under should have been a lot.
Another crazy under we'll probably see with Iowa next week when they're playing Michigan. So that'll probably be a pretty low one again.
Might be a little bit higher just because
Michigan's going to beat up on them a little bit, but yeah.
The only other game I had was Northwestern lost at home to Miami, Ohio. Funny.
Yes. Yes. Should have been a wouldn't it be funny of the week. Didn't have that one on my radar.
Yeah.
That was another we'll pay to come play here and lose game. Which you love to see.
Well, they're 0-2 in those games this year.
Yeah, crazy.
Bad.
Crazy.
Ken, you got anything on any of the other games this week?
No. Yeah, I think you guys covered most of it, to be honest.
Also, Colorado State might be the worst team in FBS. Colorado State and Hawaii are looking sneakily like the worst teams. Hawaii lost big to New Mexico State, and Colorado State lost their buy-in game to Sacramento State. Very, very tough look.
Damn.
Damn is right. Okay. That'll do it for us on the recap show. We'll see you in the preview show later in the week. As always, follow the pod on Twitter at SimplifiedPod. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell people on the street. Just tell anyone that'll listen. We appreciate it. And if you got any questions you want to answer on the show, feel free to DM us, DM the podcast account, and we'll have an answer on the show for you. You can follow me at I'm Real Angry on Twitter. You can follow Mason at Clayson_Ming. And you can follow Kent at Kent_VW. And with that, we'll see you next time.
Hail to Pitt.
Bye, Jeff Collins.